What's up, guys? Welcome to the next episode of the Puckpedia offseason preview. Today we got the Colorado Avalanche. So, looking at their offseason right now, going into it, they only have $1.2 million in cap space, which is crazy. And I think it's like by far the lowest in the league going into the offseason. So, I think they have a lot of work to do, though. Overall, I mean, I think the Avs are in a spot where they can get back to, competing for the cup again, but I just don't think they're there right now. But there's a few moves that I like that I think they can make this offseason that I kind of drew up that I think can help return them to contention as quick as possible. So even as early as next year. So diving right into it here, they do have a pretty full forward core, but I just don't think it's really deep enough. And I think you got some bloated contracts too. I know they just re-signed Nelson, $7.5 million for 3 years, which goes to at least 36. I'm not a big fan of it personally. I kind of wanted them to trade for like Jared McCann, but if you look at their draft picks here, they don't really have a lot. They don't really have a lot of assets to give up. They have no picks in the first 3 rounds over the next 2 years, which is pretty insane. And you definitely don't want to keep selling these futures for 27 and 28 now, because I think you'd rather save those and make a move with them when the time is right. When it's closer to that time for that draft and you have a clear image of where you're at that point. Because if you sell all those picks off 2-3 years ahead, I mean, that could leave you in a pretty deep hole that's hard to kind of climb out of. But yeah, so diving right into it. First thing I want to do is I want to clear up some cap space. Some dudes who I think should be gone in order to clear up some cap space are Manson, Gerard, Colton, and Coyle, and Wood. First move I'm going to do is I'm going to buy out Wood here. The buyout hit's actually not too bad. It's just long. There's a few years where it's over 1 million, but other than that, it's pretty low. So I think it's better to just buy him out at this point than attach picks to trade him, because, again, you don't really have that many picks to be given away. So I think you just buy him out now. Next move I'm going to make is a cap dump. This could really be for any team, but I'm going to go with the Rangers here. I'm going to send Manson for 2026 third, because it's probably going to be after the draft, which is coming up here pretty soon. So Manson for a third, and I'm going to leave a note here. He can go to any team that needs righty. So there you go. We'll submit that. I think a third is pretty okay for his value. Maybe it could be a fourth or something, but I think a third's good. I think it's a good, middle ground. I don't think he's worth much more than that. Maybe a little bit less, but either way, it's pretty fair, and it could be for anything really. Just get the money off the books. It doesn't matter what you really get in return. So that leaves a hole at your RD though. So let's see. A trade I'm gonna make to get Gerard off the books and fill a hole in RD. I'm gonna make a trade here with the Flyers. I'm gonna trade for Rasmus Ristolainen. 1 year retain, 1.1 mil retain. So Colorado gets him at $4 million and gets rid of Gerard, who's at 5. So you save $1 million and you get an RD, which you need. So now that does leave a few holes on the defense that need to be fixed. And I think there's a few moves they could be making. A lot of people I've seen have traded Ross Colton to the Devils. I kind of looked at it and I found a trade with the Devils for Colton that I like, but not the same that I've been seeing everywhere. So I'm going to trade for Jonas Siegenthaler. It's going to cost Colton, I think, a 2027 second, 2026 fourth, and get a 2026 third in return. So we give them 2 picks, they give up 1. And we trade Colton for Siegenthaler. So he would slot in right there at left D2. So I think that's a pretty good top 4D. obviously, if they can make that work. But again, I mean, you need to get rid of Charlie Coyle here too, just because I think having $5 million on your third line is too much for a guy who's getting older too. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to trade him to the Blackhawks, and we're going to help them out a little bit too. We'll take Ilya Mikheyev off their books for $1 million retained. So get him for $3 million. Get rid of Charlie Coyle at 5.25. And we'll probably have to attach a fourth with that. Just to make it more fair, because Mikheyev is a little bit younger. We're having them retain, but Coyle does help them overall, bringing that veteran presence, and he can play in a depth role for them, like 3C. So that's a good trade for both teams. I think it makes both of them better. Next move I'm going to go with here is, so we have holes now at the 3C and at the left wing 3. So I'm going to go to free agency to fix those holes. I'm going to bring in, let's see, for third line center, I think Nick Bjugstad is a good fit. He's getting a little bit older now, but I think $2 million for 2 years. It's only until he's 34. I think that's probably right about the time the decline will really start, even though he is already kind of declining. I think he could still be a good 3C on a good team. And then you have your left wing 3. Actually, I'm going to move Mikheyev here, put O'Connor here. We'll have Parker Kelly and Keaton Middleton both in the press box, so they'll fill in for injuries and whatnot. Also, another move I forgot to make is I forgot to sign RFA Sam Malinsky. We'll sign him for 2 years at $175. That's more. I think it's more of a bridge deal type of deal for him. Because he has to really prove that he can play like a full-time NHL role. I think this is really his first year in that spot. So, I think he has potential to be a top 4, probably second pairing defenseman. So I think you give him this deal, and that'll bridge him into a bigger contract if he proves that he's worth a bigger contract. So looking at this lineup, though, I think what we're still kind of lacking here, at least in the forward core, is some size. So you still need 2 fourth-line wingers. So to add some size to that fourth line, I want to bring in Tanner Jeannot. We'll do 175, same as Malinsky, 175 for 2 years. I think that's decently fair. We also need a lefty 3 here. We currently have $5.8 million cap space that we freed up. So looking at my trade board here, a lefty, probably go UFA, just, not give up assets. I think a good lefty for the third pair would be Brian Dumoulin. He's a little bit older now, but I think he's still pretty serviceable. He's always been a good shutdown D-man. So here AFP Analytics has him at $3 million for 2 years. Let's see, I think he's like 33 now. So I don't know about 2 years, but I'll give him like $3 million for, I can give him less for 2 years. We'll give him $2.8 million for 2 years. Hopefully that doesn't blow up in the Avs' face if they actually do that. But I think this is a pretty well-rounded D-core overall. And the goaltending, I mean, as long as Blackwood can play like he did this past year, I think the goaltending would still be pretty good. So this is a pretty good back end, as well as obviously having McKinnon and, company like in your forward core. I mean, this is a pretty good forward core. So we still need a right winger, fourth line right winger. I still think this team lacks a little bit of grit, maybe, that you could use for the playoffs. So looking at the board here, for the right winger, for a fourth line right winger, I think Bastian would be a good guy who could add some grit to the team. Analytics here have him signing at $1.3 million for 1 year. I think I'll actually give him 1.3 for 2 years, unless he's too old. He's only 27, so yeah. I think 2 years at like 1.4 mil. We'll go with that. I think that's fair. Plus the Avs have the cap space here, so this makes a pretty good, well-rounded roster, I'd say. It strengthens the bottom 6, kind of retools the D core a little bit, makes it a little bit better. Here before you had Gerard and Manson. So going from Gerard and Manson to Siegenthaler and Ristolainen, giving up minimal assets in those trades. If you really pull off a hockey trade here, that would be awesome. Maybe attach like a later pick, like a fourth or a fifth or something if you really have to, but I don't really think that would be necessary because, they both have 2 years left on their contracts. Gerard, though, is 3 years younger than Ristolainen, though. So maybe if he fits the Flyers window better. So that was my logic behind not really adding a pick to it. But if Philly feels like they need a pick to it, or if they have a better package, by all means go for that. But I think this trade is pretty fair in terms of value. I just don't really know how exactly if it helps like Philly's needs. But Philly has a lot of needs right now, so it definitely doesn't hurt. And Gerard's young, and if they can be competitive within the next few years, they could re-sign him or use him as a trade chip, and he would fit their timeline okay because he's only like 27 right now. So yeah, so that'll do it for this roster, I think. Looking at the thing top to bottom, I think this team could go back to competing for a cup. Probably by as early as next year. I really wish they didn't sign Nelson in order to give themselves more flexibility here at the 2C. Not only did they overpay him, they paid him for 3 years till he's 36, which is just old. By the time he's 35, 36, I kind of question if he'll still even be capable of being their 2C. I think they'll get 1 year of him being able to be 2C, but other than that, I really don't know. I was very skeptical from the moment this was signed, but who knows? Maybe I'll be proven wrong. But yeah, and I know there's a lot of trade rumors around Natchez right now. I don't think the Avs should trade Natchez. Actually, though, what I think they should do. So, looking at this roster, we get better and already have 400K more in cap space than what the Avs currently have right now while getting better. So we have more cap space and the roster's better. So looking at the cap projections over the next few years, this roster would leave them with 23 million cap space for next offseason. And the only real guys you have to re-sign other than Natchez are Mikheyev, Drury. You don't really need to re-sign Parker Kelly, and all the defense would be locked up. So that leaves you 28 million, as well as the goaltending, except for your backup goalie. But you don't need 23 million for a backup goalie. So I don't know why you would trade Natchez. I think you have enough money where you can sign Natchez. I think he'll want upwards of probably 11 mil, but I will extend him for like a little bit less than that. I'll say 10.7 mil for 8 years. So, how can you say no to that if you're like a young guy like Natchez? 26, he's set up till he's 34 now, getting $10.7 million a year. And you get to play with McKinnon. You get a chance to win by playing with this team. So I don't really know why he would want to trade out of Colorado. But if they were to trade him, you got to question what the return would be, because losing Rantanen and Natchez for whatever that package may be, it's got to be hard to kind of even out that value. You've lost a lot of value here if you're the Avs. Also, with this roster, you could have just paid Rantanen too, because you'd have the money to do it. But either way, pay Natchez, pay Rantanen, pay whoever, fill the holes, win the cup. It's all that matters at this point for the Avs. I think McKinnon and Makar's legacy kind of rides on that a little bit, because I think they're guys who are capable of going down as some of the greats of all time. But if you only win one cup, I don't think that really puts you in that conversation, except for Makar maybe, because all of his personal accolades. But still, McKinnon would never be more than a great player. He'd be a Hall of Famer for sure, but he wouldn't be anywhere near like a top 20 all-time discussion, which I think he could fit into if he wins a few more. So that'll do it for this video. Leave a comment down below here on YouTube or on Puckpedia, where I'll link the roster in the description. So you can click on that link and leave a comment directly on the roster that I'm about to publish here. I appreciate you guys tuning in. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.